Welcome to Risk and Reward. I'm Elizabeth MacDonald in for Deirdre Bolton. Apple supplier FoxConn, they make the iPhones. They just unveiled its new plan to build that $10 billion factory in Wisconsin. They're going to produce those LCD panels there. Potentially 30,000 jobs total, including the ones at the factory and also the knock-on jobs. And look at these states like Michigan and Pennsylvania. Other states, they want in on the action, too. However, remember when President Obama said Donald Trump will not bring back manufacturing jobs? Let's take a listen.
He's going to bring all these jobs back. Well, how exactly are you going to do that? What are you going to do? There's no answer to it. He just says, well, I'm going to negotiate a better deal. Well, how exactly are you going to negotiate that? What magic wand do you have?
Let's take it to the power panel. Wealth managers Ty Young, Jason Rotman, good to have you guys. First, your quick reactions on Apple's earnings. Looks like they've now got a new cash pile of more than $261 billion. They could add 50 points to the Dow tomorrow morning. What do you think? For you, Ty, first to you.
Well, I mean, I think it looks great that their earnings came in well, and they've got a new iPhone 8 coming out. And, you know, if the iPhone 8 is delayed, that just means there's going to be a longer line at the Apple store when it finally does come out. My concern actually is the price of the iPhone 8. They said about $1,200, and that concerns me because it might price some of their loyal client base out of the market and push them to competitors. So love the earnings, love the new iPhone 8. The price concerns me a bit, but looks good.
Yeah, you're right, Ty. They better come up with that technology to be able to open your iPhone with just looking at it, right? That infrared technology, we're tracking that story. But, Jason, do you remember when President Obama and Democrat Senator Elizabeth Warren, they said that the government is responsible for people's success? That, you know what, you didn't do it. The government did. Let's listen.
If you got a business, you didn't build that. Somebody else made that happen. The Internet didn't get invented on its own. Government research created the Internet, so then all the companies could make money off the Internet.
I hear all this, you know, well, this is class warfare, this is whatever. No, there is nobody in this country who got rich on his own. Nobody. You built a factory out there, good for you, but I want to be clear, you moved your goods to market on the roads the rest of us paid for.
Hey, Jason, what do you think of the Apple FoxConn workers out there in Wisconsin and the other states who are saying, yeah, bring the factory here? What do you think they would say to those comments, Jason?
Well, listen, I mean, it's almost like they're stating the obvious in a sense of, like, no man is an island. Like, great, make that philosophical point, but tell me something I don't know. I mean, of course taxes pay for roads. Right. I mean, that's the world we live in. Like, please. But the fact is that I think Trump, social policies aside, which obviously we're not getting into today, economically, the guy is doing very, very good things. He's got to be offering major incentives to FoxConn to be doing this. Good for him. It's working. If I was living in Wisconsin looking for a job, I'd be celebrating tonight with my family.
Okay, good points all. Now let's get to the collapse of socialism in Venezuela. Intelligence agents there arresting opposition leaders in midnight raids at gunpoint, dragging them from their homes. And now Venezuela is moving to launch a, quote, truth commission in order to send out, quote, truth squads to wipe out the opposition to President Maduro's socialist dictatorship. Now to our own socialist right here in the U.S., Bernie Sanders, he still refuses to acknowledge the socialist nightmare in Venezuela. Remember this, in 2011, Bernie Sanders said this: these days the American dream is more apt to be realized in South America, in places like Ecuador, Venezuela, Argentina, where incomes are actually more equal today than they are in the land of Horatio Alger. And also, Sanders admitted this just last year. Bernie Sanders confessed last year. He said, you know what, I need to learn more about socialism in South America. Roll tape.
Do you think the deportation of, for example, gang members who basically grew up in America's prisons is harming Central America?
Again, you're asking me questions about the impact on Central America, which I honestly should know more than I do know.
So the economic meltdown in Central America from socialism, Bernie Sanders was asked about that. He said, I need to learn more about it. Again, no comment still from Bernie Sanders and the Democrats on this brutal crackdown now underway in Venezuela. 125 people dead to date, thousands injured and arrested. But there has been swift response from the Trump administration, slapping Venezuela's president in the rare move, and 13 individuals with sanctions after its sham vote letting Maduro seize total control. No sanctions yet on the oil industry. That is on the table. Ty, what do you think of Bernie Sanders and the left refusing to acknowledge the socialist collapse in Venezuela, Ty?
It's unbelievable, Elizabeth. I actually saw your clip this morning on Stuart Varney's show with the arrogant elitist professor saying it's okay to break a few eggs and it's okay for people to die. He essentially implied that was okay to bring in socialism. I mean, I don't know where the F students were over the last 100 years as socialist regime after socialist regime fail. I mean, 100% of the time they fail, and it's failing in Venezuela. People are dying in the streets. They're rioting because they're starving to death. I feel terrible for the people of Venezuela.
Yeah,
I don't know that it hurts our markets.
I hear you, Ty. That's a great point. And, you know, Jason, Venezuela's Maduro last year, he even rooted for Bernie Sanders to win. He called him his, quote, revolutionary friend. And here's what Bernie Sanders also said. Let's take a listen to this.
Yup, we're going to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. We must strengthen and expand Social Security. I believe in a Medicare for all single-payer program.
Jason, quick note, 4 Democrats voted for single payer in a symbolic vote on this past Thursday night. 43 Democrats, they abstained. They wouldn't vote for it. It's Bernie Sanders pushing for single payer socialism here in the United States. Jason.
Well, yes, thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I mean, what I have to say about as far as the Venezuela situation, I think, which is obviously what you're alluding to. I mean, Maduro would have been rooting for Bernie Sanders because that would have been his only chance of having any friend here because of what he's doing to his people. I think what I want to say is this. I always come back to when people present socialism versus capitalism, I always come back to all of these amazing free enterprise stories of people coming from nothing, working their butt off, having an idea, executing it, and adding value to the world and becoming wealthy. That's the dream. That's happening. So no other system gives you that possibility. Therefore, this is the best system.
That's a good point that Jason makes, Ty, because the entrepreneurs and small business in Venezuela, they're operating in the black market out of their homes, you know, selling toilet paper and paper towels. And then, Ty, we had MSNBC host Joy Reid somehow blaming President Trump for Venezuela, saying, quote, meanwhile, Trump's weakness and unsuitability for the presidency have real life's consequences. Venezuela, Pakistan, Jerusalem, all melting down. Is that true?
No, that's ridiculous. I don't know what planet she's on saying something like that. The fact is that the Trump administration, yeah, they have trouble with communication from time to time, but from a strength standpoint, the Trump administration shows strength in many areas of the world, including Venezuela, the Middle East, North Korea. The list goes on and on. So I'm not sure where she's coming from with that kind of statement or if she's paying attention to reality.
Ty and Jason, we love having you on the show. Come back soon.